All right, my friends. So welcome. Welcome. So good to see you. Good to have you here. Yeah. Just take a moment to be even more intentionally present. Bringing awareness to your breath. Noticing the gentle rise and fall of the chest and belly as the breath moves in and out of our bodies. Noticing the mind's chatter, questions, thoughts, and recognizing we don't have to do anything with those. We can just notice them and bring awareness back to the breath. And it's such a beautiful opportunity that we take in satsang, in meditation, in any moment of intentional stillness. It's such a beautiful opportunity to recognize the essential and inherent piece of being that we already are. The unchanging nature of our being as human spiritual beings. To remember again and again and again and again, behind my mind's narratives and the adjacent emotions that are very much a part of this human experience, I am more than that. There's so much that comes and goes, arises and passes, appears and disappears. And all of that is happening within the presence of divine, loving awareness. The peaceful stillness of being that is playing in this life. We get to play in this life, but we don't want to get so lost in all the content of experience that we neglect, turn away from, ignore, forget our most essential nature. Consciousness, awareness, loving, unconditionally loving awareness. What a beautiful thing. To have a practice, to have a way of living, to have an intention, to remember that truth again and again and again, so that we can encounter the full richness of our lives. Awakened as, rested as, abiding, our fulfilled truth, our wholeness, that does not need to be fulfilled with relationships or experiences or situations. It can engage in all those beautifully, fully, richly. But to recognize our inherent nature is already full. It's already love. It's already peace. It's already whole. So thank you for being here in these intentional moments. Such a fascinating adventure, isn't it? Being a human being that can know to a degree the consciousness of our being. And to remember this essence of our being, the essential nature of our being, it does take intention, and it does take practice, self-inquiry, and using the mind's amazing capacity to imagine. We've been imagining ourselves into being for most of our lives. I imagine I'm worthy. I imagine I'm unworthy. I imagine that in order to be loved, I need to be successful. I imagine that all manner of things. And so the opportunity is to use our imagination with more intention and point ourselves to the inquiry of, what if? What if I'm more than my thoughts? What if there's something more to me than this ego, body, mind experience? So I want to invite today a little exercise, little mind exercise. And just hang in there with it and be very present to allowing yourself to imagine what I described and see where your awareness gets pointed. Recognize that for the most part, when we're not really either paying attention or we haven't abided our truth enough that it is rested in the background of all experience, present, active. Without that, typically what we are doing as human beings is we are taking in the entire world to our senses, our perceptions. And we are delivering whatever we experience, see, hear, touch, smell, taste. We are delivering that to our database, to our mind. And we are saying, what's happening? And the mind says, yes, this is what is happening. This is good, this is bad, this is ugly, this is fantastic. We need more of this. We need less of that. And there are those dynamics. We certainly would like to have more love and less hate and anger in our lives. And yet we tend to place all the responsibility on what we are perceiving for our sense of happiness or peace. So recognize that typically we're taking in the world and we're feeding it to our database, and it is projecting a narrative, a story. It is simply telling you what you believe. It is simply telling you what you have learned. It is simply reflecting your conditioning, your programming, perhaps your wounding, any unresolved traumas, the emotional maturity that we move through in a lifetime. And it's like a projection upon consciousness, like a movie projecting upon a screen. It's our egoic self projecting its opinions, ideas, narratives, thoughts. And we tend to take that for the only reality there is, forgetting our rested, peaceful stillness of being. So imagine that you are born into a theater, a movie theater, and there's a movie playing. And so your attention goes to that movie. What is the movie going to tell you? What's it going to teach you? What's it going to show you? It presents itself as the world. It presents itself as reality. It's the only reality you know. You're born into this theater, and you don't know anything. You just, there's something playing. And so it's got your attention, and you start to recognize, oh, this is life. Okay, got it. All right, this. All right, so pay attention. And when it projects a horror film, I'm going to feel horrific. When it projects a win or a success or a joy, I'm going to feel joyful. Whatever the movie projects, I'm going to take as gospel, if you will. And because you were born in this theater, watching this movie, and you've not had really any instruction from anyone to tell you otherwise, this movie is all there is. You don't even know that you're in a theater. You don't even know that you're watching a movie. You don't even know that there's something called outside. You're watching the projections of your own mind and getting lost in all of it. Now imagine you're in this theater. What happens when we are in a theater, fully engrossed in a movie? What would happen if in that moment somebody sitting next to you tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" Be like, what? Oh God, I forgot you were even there. You've gone to the movies with somebody. You forget they're even there. You're just engrossed in the movie. And they say, no, it's really important. And they whisper to you and you start to have a little conversation. What would happen to the movie? It's still playing. But your awareness has been pulled elsewhere. Your awareness has been pulled into a conversation. And even if the movie was at its height of drama, and you're just thoroughly engrossed, if your attention got pulled away into another conversation, and the person said, no, it's really important, please stop watching the movie for a moment, this is really important, I got to talk to you about something, you would turn your attention from the movie and you'd be in this conversation, and what would happen to the movie. Feel into this for a moment. Imagine being in the theater. If anything pulls your attention from the movie loses its power. Let's say it's a movie you're not particularly interested in, and you just go, you know what, why am I watching this movie? And then you just start to think about your life, or you imagine being out on a walk because you know what's going on outside the theater. The movie would lose its power. You'd realize, oh my God, it's just a projection. Imagine now being able to, in our lives, see our own constant movie, our own constant narrative of what this means and what that means and what that, the impacts of that and the impacts of this. Will this make me happy? Will this make me sad? How do I get my happiness? How do I avoid suffering? How, where, what? What if you were able to, just like in a movie, saying, you know what, I don't think I'm interested in this movie any longer. What if you could look at your own habitual narration and do the same thing? What would be present? If you saw your own narrative for what it is, which is projections of beliefs, conditioning, programming, thoughts, assessments, judgments, opinions. Isn't it amazing? The movie would lose its power. And this is the opportunity in our practices, in our meditations, in our conversations, in our wakeful presence, abidance of our true nature. We don't get so caught up in the movie of our own mind that maybe we can remain at rest as the observer. You want to get involved in the movie? Get involved in the movie. Keep watching it, but recognize that you don't have to all the time. You don't have to be a slave to it. You can stop anytime. You can even change the movie. But the invitation is not to think that it's changing the movie that'll bring happiness. Oh, I only want to play happy movies. No, life has all manner of movies that play out. Dramas, struggles, pain, loss, grief, joy, success, thrills, bliss, beauty, ugliness. Life has all sorts of movies. So the idea isn't that you only want to try to play good movies, only want to have good thoughts, only want to feel good things. But to be able to pull back and remember you're watching the movie and who is watching the movie. So here's a practice and a self-inquiry. Sitting in presence in your intentional stillness, ask yourself, play with your imagination. Imagine, what if you had no history? Imagine if you were sitting in this moment, wherever you are, and you had no history, no past, no mom, dad, past, all of these situations, conditions, moments that you've cobbled together with meaning to put together your sense of self, your sense of life. Imagine if all that was just gone. Now, we're not asking you to imagine living life without your engagements in life and your thoughts and your beliefs. We're just asking you in this moment to see, is there something more to you than that? No history, no past, no job, no career, no success, no failure. No regrets, no plans, just being. Without a history, without a story, would you disappear? Or would something remain? It's a beautiful meditative technique. To start to get some separation, to start to get a little distance from your story, from your sense of personal self. Simply so that you can remember that there's more to you than that. Not that you deny the personal self, or you don't live with a sense of person, individuality, but you see it for what it is, a vehicle of consciousness, that there's more to you than the personal self. So without all the story and the narrative, the history, the past, the beliefs, if all that was gone, would you disappear? What is the essential nature of you before you color it with your habitual narrative? Ram Dass has taught us that the mind gives us cloudy perceptions. He taught us and teaches us that the mind gets in the way of a clear view of God. we tend to get so lost in the content of experience that we forget the unwavering peace and grace and love of being. And you probably don't want to live a life where there's just a blank screen and no movie. But simply while you're enjoying or engaging with or learning from or playing in the movie, remember that it is playing upon a pure, blank, unwavering screen of awareness that is always at peace, regardless of the content of the movie. And you probably don't want to live a life where there's just blue sky all the time. No, weather's nice. Some rain, some clouds, a storm, rainbows, light playing on the clouds, the richness, the dynamic of the weather. But what a beautiful thing to be able to enjoy or engage in or even be challenged by the weather, knowing it is coming and going within the presence of an unwavering blue sky. So you can practice this. Sit in your meditation, follow your breath, come into some semblance of stillness, and then use your power of imagination to inquire, wow, imagine if sitting here right now in this moment, if I had absolutely no identity, no gender, no career, no role, mother, father, son, daughter, wife, husband, lover. Before any of that, is there an essential nature of being that I'm typically overlooking because I get so lost in the movie? And then imagine if you have a sense of some solidity, unwavering grace. Simply imagine then living your life with that grace known, trusted, abided, because it's the only thing that's actually really true. This is what we do. We play, we contemplate, we inquire, we explore. We intentionally point our awareness to the essential, unwavering grace and peace and stillness and love of our being. We can do it anytime. It's like sitting in that theater and somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, forget about the movie for a second. Let's talk about something else. That's what meditation is. Meditation is going, oh, okay, I'm just going to turn away from the movie for a moment and talk about something else. So, I'm curious, where does this land for you? How might this impact your path, your way of being, your way of navigating this life? Because most people aren't having these conversations with themselves. They're just struggling with the movie. I got to get a different movie playing. This movie sucks. I'm miserable until the movie changes. Like, imagine sitting at this theater and the movie's playing and you have no idea you can change it. And even if you did, you'd just then be trying to cling to it, having only the new movie play, the better movie. What if you're in this theater, trapped? Just whatever movie's playing, that's it. It's got you. It's hooked you. It's pushing you around. It's dictating your entire reality. Somebody taps you on the shoulder and says, I got something really important to talk to you about. And you were like, no. Can't you see I'm struggling here? Can't you see the horror flick that's playing out in my life right now? I can't attend to anything else. This is all consuming. That's all there is. There's another way you can play with it, which is with eyes open, just notice life, notice anything, and just recognize, there's the object. There's like 3 layers. There's the object. If I just take it in and give it to the database, my database says, iPad, glasses, this, and I like iPad. I think I need a new iPad, and that's the narrative and the engagement. But then you open it up and say, and what is it aware of this narrative? What is aware of this conversation that is happening within my own mind? So the invitation is to, at any time, just to remember that there is that presence of our consciousness, awareness, who we are, and simply be slightly more interested in that consciousness, in that presence of awareness, than all that is passing before it. We don't have to go all the way and go, none of this matters and there's only the awareness, because that's not true. Yeah, in the grand scheme, it may not matter, but from a soul's journey, yeah, we're here to learn, play, explore, evolve. But we can at least go, wait a minute, there is this peaceful, rested grace of being that is ever present, and I am that. And I'm at least 51% more interested in that than I am in the play of life. So I'm not denying the play of life, but I'm not also 99% in the play of life and 1% just kind of thinking, is there really a me? Maybe, I don't know. I'm just bad. It's how we can live in peace. We can live in peace by living as peace. So what does it bring up? What does this bring up for you? Where do we get lost? Where does the mind maybe go, yeah, but? Or where does our awareness go, yes, yes, yes. It's so simple. And where are we chasing happiness?
or assigning such constant meaning and coming to conclusions with what the world is kind of doing out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's say a business deal goes through very positively, and suddenly, what does that mean?
Right.
Oh, it means this about me, that about me, and suddenly a whole narrative is born out of a movement in the world.
Yes.
Yes, and then internally there is this incredible conclusion. Then, well, I must be this kind of person, whatever, and the internal narrative can become so exclusively real, so seemingly
Yes.
exclusively real.
It becomes the life interpretation,
Yeah.
and it's denying the presence of the peace that we are seeking as who we already are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it stunning? And this is why we practice, right?
Yeah.
To remember again and again. Oh, wait, wow. There's a beautiful, kind of fascinating perspective about how we attribute our happiness to the attainment of experiences, relationships, conditions, because it seems to make perfect sense. I'm feeling unfulfilled. I want more happiness. I want more fulfillment. I want more of something, and so we seek it. And as we're seeking it, there's that sense of empty. It's not fulfilled yet. It's not fulfilled yet. And then we find it. Relationship, job, accolades. Yay, I got 50 likes on my post. Yay.
Or even as an emotion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we attain that thing that we felt was lacking and was responsible for our happiness, when we attain it, we feel happy. And so we go, well, there's the proof. Clearly, my happiness comes from relationship, situation, condition, the
And
world of
I
form.
can make it happen. There's also the sense that, oh, I made it because I found the right person. That means I can make myself happy through this object.
Through this object. And the attainment of the object tends to make us, we think that is what makes us happy. It's kind of the empirical evidence, and it happens again and again and again. So we never question it. What if the seeking is like a rubber band stretched? It's got a stress to it. The seeking has an unhappiness to it because it's not acknowledging our fulfillment, our wholeness. So it feels empty. It feels empty. It needs. It's lacking. And then we get the thing and we're happy. Oh, the thing brought the happiness. No. When you get the thing, what happens to the seeking? It stops. So it's not the thing that brought the happiness. It was the fact that we are deluded. We think it's bringing the happiness, so we stop seeking. It is the cessation of seeking that allows the happiness of our being, the joy, the peace of our being to be known, because it is no longer so clouded with the stress and the lack of seeking. The seeking is like a cloud that clouds us from knowing our being. And when that seeking cloud is relaxed, the presence of our truth can be known again. Because the noise of seeking, oh, is it there? Is it there? Did I get it? How am I doing? How am I progressing? Am I there yet? Is it happening yet? And all of that noise is veiling the essential peace of our being. So the thing happens, the seeking quiets, and the peace of our being can be known through the quiet.
And still get attributed.
Until we know that,
through the delusion,
we're still attributing it to, good, I got the thing. And then this is even more insidious. Well, that's what works. So then the happiness tends to start to fade. And so we go, okay, I need to do it again. but this time we need a little bit more. That's addiction. Now I need a little bit more. Now I need a little bit more. It's kind of like I'm unworthy. I get some accolades, in today's world, social media, right? Oh, look, I got 100 likes. I am worthy. I do have value in the world, right? Okay, great. Now you know that. You have value in the world. You're clear on that. From your mind's perspective, that's been proven. So, okay, yes, I have value in the world. Great. A week later, got another post. I'm not getting as many likes. Maybe I don't have value in the world. So I need more. I need to do it again, and I need more. Well, or what if you got another 100 likes, more accurately, right? And that never changed. Like, God, I can't. Why don't I get more than that? Maybe I'm not worthy. 100 used to be enough to satisfy you, but now it stays at 100, and you're going, yeah. What's it going to take? How am I going to get known and loved and believed in? And you get 200. Ah, there it is. Yes, it's working. And then that doesn't satisfy. So the opportunity is to recognize that when we attain things, the seeking slows, quiets, and in that stillness, we know our truth. Seeking is a stress. Resisting is a stress. Clinging is a stress. Being is not a stress. Being is not an activity. Seeking is an activity. Clinging is an activity. Resisting is an activity. Predicated upon a lack of fulfillment. But if we know our naturally, inherently fulfilled nature of love and peace, I am that. That's the essence of consciousness itself, the shared being that we all share. If I know that, I can just rest as the stillness. And then go out in life and play and attain and get and don't get and lose, and all of that is happening in the presence of fulfillment.
Yeah, it's that fundamental confusion about identity that fuels the insanity of the insane seeking.
Yeah. Who am I? Right.
Yeah.
We're misidentified.
Yeah, completely.
And I is at the center of everything. There's not a single thing we experience in this life that the sense of I, isn't at the center of. I feel this, I think this, I want this, I don't want that, I struggle with this, I hate this, I love that, I. So if that I is the egoic I, full of conditioning and programming and stories and narratives, it cannot lead an authentic life. What a wild thing. That the very thing that is at the center of our entire life for most people is false. That's the foundation. The fundamental error is the misunderstanding of who I am. And so the false, conditioned, programmed, fearful, unfulfilled, doubtful, questioning I is at the center of our entire life experience, and we wonder why we suffer. And the true essential nature of I, peaceful, at rest, fulfilled, whole, love, God consciousness that I am, is typically not known, and even if it's a little bit known, not abided. And if it were, then everything you experience would be met as who you really are. That's freedom. So just do that. just abide your true nature. So we play with imagination. We play with these analogies. Yeah, you're in a theater. You're so engrossed in it all that you forget every once in a while. You could stop at any time. And any time you consciously just said, oh, wait, this is a movie. Wait, hold on. Okay, let me think about, let me just not be so engrossed in the movie for a moment. The movie would lose all of its power. You're in the movie. Oh my God, he's going to kill him. Don't open the door. Don't open. Oh God, oh God. Huh. And you're in the movie. And the minute you go, this is too much. That's right. It's just a movie. Ooh, wow. As soon as you do that, the movie loses its power. This is waking up, waking up, waking up.
Even at a very fundamental level, to become aware that I'm getting lost in my own emotion can create that healthy gap of, okay, I can just take a step back, keep it in perspective, still feel it. That basic truth of good psychology teaching can create a kind of a sanity where, okay, I can choose to not get lost in my fucking emotion for once.
Yeah. Right? And let's say it's an emotion of fear, right? And because of this emotion of fear or not worthy or whatever it is, or self-doubt, I'm struggling with doing the things I want to do in life. Therefore, I need to make the fear go away. And as you know, especially in your work, this is what most people are doing. I need the fear to subside, to stop, to go away. This allows for the fear. It just goes, yes. Oh, wow. Yeah, there's my egoic fear, right? There's a part of my human conditioning. And then we can work with it. Where did it come from? Where did I learn this? Is it true? What does it need? Yeah, the resting as the grace, the welcoming love, the allowing.
Yeah.
The allowing. Allowing is not an activity of mind. True allowing is the very essence of our being. It doesn't deny anything. It has space for all of it. Oh, you've got fear? Yes, you have fear. Clearly, you had a childhood, you had parents, you had conditions, you had situations, you've got stories, you've got narratives. Yes, you do. There they are. So how can we be at peace with those and allow those to arise so that we don't feel shame around, as long as I still harbor these feelings, I'm less than. Yeah, these feelings probably are getting in the way of you leading the full life you want to lead. But just pushing them aside or trying to get rid of them isn't the solution. It's to be with them. And to be with them is to be the love beyond them and welcome them into that love. Rupert Spira teaches to learn to live with our fear. Now, to learn to be free of our fear, we must first learn to live with our fear. Everything arises so that it may pass. Everything arises so that it may pass. So hold the loving space for it to arise. It's like a jar of muddy water. We don't just want the sediment, the fear, the mud, the conditioning always just to settle. Don't disturb it. Don't disturb it. No, life disturbs it. Life tends to stir it up. So the idea is allow it to be stirred up, but then keep pouring in love. Keep pouring in the pure consciousness of love. That's the clear water. And if you keep doing that, what's going to happen to all of this? It will eventually dissipate and flow out. Everything arises so that it may pass. So allow it to get stirred up and keep pouring in love. Allow it to get stirred up and keep pouring in love. Yeah.
What comes up for me is when I hear that we see just being and just switching up the movie or getting distracted from the movie, right?
Yeah.
Then the first thing which comes to mind is that what is going to if I'm just being in bliss, how am I going to be taking care of myself? Just the practical things of housing, food, getting money.
Yes.
But it feels like in my idea I would just be in a constant bliss sitting in the jungle, being with this, right? But then reality is such that we do have to take care of some physical material things too.
So perhaps this is still the egoic perspective, is I don't want the suffering, I want the bliss.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to chase the bliss and try to manipulate the world to be a blissful place.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always, right? So what if you replaced bliss with just being? We've been taught that it is our fear and our sense of lack that is going to motivate our actions to do what we need to do in life, to feed ourselves, to take care of ourselves. What if you could do all of that while being at peace?
I guess my question was, I know one person we both know had the awakening and she was just being, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she had other people to take care of her. She was just the being.
So it wasn't integrated.
Right.
The beauty is and that's the fallacy, is that if I'm just being, then there's no person to take care of. I don't need to take care of the person because the person is just a temporary, experience with thoughts and ego anyway, right? Well, yeah, you could make that choice. You could make that choice and not attend to the being, to the personal self at all. And from the soul perspective or the being perspective, okay, that's this life and it has its value. So the idea isn't not to attend to the personal self, but not to get so lost in the attendance to the personal self that it eclipses our knowing of the being. It's the yes and that's the beauty, that's the grace, that's the freedom, the yes and, right? Yeah, I would very much prefer that I don't lose all my money and don't have money to rent a house or, eat food. And, that's going to cause a lot of personal struggle. But what is aware of the personal struggle? If I get so lost in the personal struggle, then I've forgotten the truth of my being. Then I'm back in the ego perspective. Until the personal struggle is solved, I can't be at peace.
Mm-hmm. Right.
When I come close to a threshold of this freedom, the same fear comes for me.
Mm-hmm.
What if I become irresponsible?
Yeah.
Because this feels so free and so complete in a sense that there's a feeling that nothing has to be done. Mm-hmm. What if I lose myself in that freedom of nothing has to be done? Right? Mm-hmm. From the conditioned perspective, that's being irresponsible. But from the freedom's perspective, it's itself. Mm-hmm. Life taking care of itself without a manager being needed. But the conditioning is so conditioned to have a manager, a controller of life. Yeah. And I completely can relate to this fear.
Yeah, there's some, okay, so see if this tracks. When I really come into the rested nature of just being, it feels like if I start attending to the personal self, I'll get lost in that again. And I'll forget this essential nature of being, because why would we not want to play with life if we can? Why would we stop attending to feeding ourselves and clothing ourselves and making money? Why would we stop doing any of that? Cannot our being still want to play? It just doesn't get attached to the outcome of the play.
Mm-hmm.
What if it still wants to create and imagine and engage and share in love? and explore this opportunity to live in this life of form and to grow and to evolve, to express, but just doesn't get so attached to it needing to turn out any particular way. So if you track back to your original, very real moment of like, if I just come to rest in the being, what if I don't take care of myself? Is there any fear around choosing to take care of yourself?
No, it just doesn't seem relevant anymore. Because if you're in the being,
Mm-hmm.
and then the egoic I problems,
Mm-hmm.
we would see them as not being real.
They are real in that you are living a human life.
Right. Okay.
But the human life isn't all there is to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we mean by getting lost in the content of experience. Mm-hmm. We lose our truth because we're so engaged in getting it all right, comfortable, happy. But then to be totally lost from the truth of our being and only in the egoic world, that doesn't work. Well, equally, to get so lost in the beingness that we forget our rich, beautiful opportunity here as human beings is also not really workable. Why not do both? Is there any reason not to do both? Come to rest in the being saying, wow, all right, now I'm free. This is fun. It doesn't have to turn out any certain way, but I'm certainly going to play with it.
Yeah, there's something completely new, right? It's a whole new way of being, and it's so completely unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fear comes of, because even when I'm from the conditioned perspective of fear and confusion, even when I'm being loving towards others, mm-hmm. all the conclusions about life is functioning there too. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm helping them, I'm calling my mom because otherwise she's suffering like this, suffering like that. And the freedom takes away my conclusions about everything, even about what might happen to other people if I don't help them. Mm-hmm. So, right, the responsibility part. So if I know that she's actually going to be okay, right, because I know that I'm fine and okay now, and I always been. But then she doesn't know that she was okay.
Right. That's her suffering,
so,
right?
Yes, and the conditioned way has always been that I'm helping, I'm taking care of, and all this because there's a confusion here, there's a confusion there, trying to take care of all of that, all on false ground. Everything has been built on the confusion. And now that there's profound okayness of everything, even when everything's falling apart, there's the fundamental okayness of being, of life. Mm-hmm. Then will I still care enough to want to call somebody?
What would love do?
Yeah.
So really sit with it. What would love do? If the essence of being is love, what would love do?
Yeah, and all that remains to be in the unknown side of things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe you'd be calling your mom because you love your mom. You wouldn't be calling her to help her and not feel that.
For sure, and from the intellect, I can give these answers that they can sound wonderful for 2 seconds, but the fear is such that, it's just the unknown. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Right?
And how would the unknown be met? By love.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What would love do with the unknown?
Yeah.
So here's a really powerful technique or practice. When you sit in meditation, whether it's a deep meditation or you've learned how to just be meditative in your life, when you're in a meditative presence of your being, your wholeness, feel the power of that. Feel the capacity of that to meet anything as love, right? And then imagine you can start to play with, bring in every scenario, bring in getting the job, bring in not getting the job, bring in mom is suffering, mom is enlightened, bring in whatever scenario you want, and imagine meeting it as a human being who is abiding pure consciousness, pure love.
Even bring the scenario where I no longer know what to do.
It doesn't, yeah.
I thought I knew in my condition.
Every scenario.
That scenario can be brought to, right? Because that's what the fear is afraid of, that I will remain somehow incapable of dealing with that.
And as you rest in your wholeness, play that out.
Yeah.
What if my human psyche goes that route? Beautiful. Mm-hmm. What we start to recognize is, wow, there's not a single thing that I need to resist or seek. I can play, but there's not a single thing that can't be met by a rested grace and power of loving awareness.
Yeah.
Then you're not doing anything to get the peace. You're not doing anything to get the fulfillment. Mm-hmm. You can play with that. Like I love doing what I do. I'm writing a book right now. It would be really nice to have that be a book that helps people a lot, and that I get to live a more active life, sharing and guiding and teaching and doing how love moves through me. You know, Cahill Gibran says our work is our love made visible. And so that would be really, really wonderful. But if I play with this, I could equally sit with none of that coming and remaining equally at peace. It's a really powerful practice to imagine, what if it all did fall apart?
Like when the fear comes, you meet that too.
Well, you meet everything. There's nothing that arises that isn't met with the unwavering truth of being. Yeah. I played with this the other day. Because one of my big ones has always been rejection. It's part of what I'm here to move through, part of my karma. Our karma is that which we are here to meet in this life. And part of mine is to work through this wound of rejection. And it's finally like I just sit with, what if I spent the rest of my life sharing as I love to do, and none of it was ever accepted or heard or no accolades, no. What if I was rejected the entire time? Could I remain in love with myself, as myself? And the answer is yeah. And to take your question, and I kind of play with it, okay, and in this imagination, I'm imagining that it doesn't impact my ability to make money so if I'm just working with the rejection wound, I can clean that up. I can say, take away the physicality of safety, because these are different things. Our emotional safety is different than our sense of physical safety. But if I'm working with my emotional wounding and conditioning, I can play with, wow, so let me play it out. Let me imagine the worst case scenario. Wow, no, I know who I am. I'm no longer needing the validation to know who I am. I know who I am. Then we can play with, okay, and let's say it gets really hard and I struggle with money. Okay. And I get to have a choice. Do I suffer that? Do I suffer? Let's say I run out of money and struggle with renting and making life work, and it's hard. Yeah, it's hard, but do I need to suffer that? And I think back on when I was in Kathmandu, and there's a beggar guy with his withered legs, and he was pushing him around on a little cart, And I remember asking if I could take his picture. And I felt like, oh, can I? And he was like, why are you worried about? Yeah, go ahead, take my picture. I'm like, well, I don't want to make you, feel bad about your situation. And he was like, no, I'm good.
He's at peace with it.
Yeah, I'm at peace. This is my life. This is what's happening. Why? Struggle is a choice. Suffering is a choice. There it is. This is what's happening. This is his world. And I'm like with my camera and my backpack and my money and all of this stuff. And he's not looking at me going, oh, if I was you, I'd be okay. But since I'm me, I'm not. That's suffering. So we get to play with these in our meditations. We get to really come to rest as our grace and get to play with, I'm going to strive and work and do what I can. It'd be wonderful to have a lot of abundance and all these opportunities and be in relationship and all this. And if it happens, I know who I am. And if it doesn't happen, I know who I am. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what if you could just take your power of rested grace and apply it to doing your best in life and seeing what happens?
Well, then exactly that. If my field come in, then I will be making the money I would need to be safe.
Yeah, physically safe.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. We do want it. We do want physical safety. Mm-hmm. Take it to the extreme. We're not going to stand out in the street and a bus is barreling down on us and go, you know what? It really doesn't matter anyway, right? Yeah, we're going to get out of the way of the bus.
So here's the example of writing a book. If you were to say you're going to write a book, no matter if people are going to like the book or not like the book, buy the book, not buy the book,
right.
You enjoy writing the book, and it doesn't affect how you see yourself.
Right.
It's just the only thing you do because you love doing it. And then nobody buys the book. Then you won't be able to have the money to pay for the rent, right? So then in my mind, I would say I can do that and I have to take care of being different to then be able to pay for the rent, right?
Right. And you would.
Okay, so you just say, okay.
So you do. Yeah. Right. You do. You if I have a choice in that too. I can say, no, I don't want to do anything else. This is it. And if I can't pay the rent, then I guess I just am going to be a homeless person or sleep on my sister's couch, right? Mm-hmm. I can make that choice.
Right, so you still have the choice.
Still have the choice. Or I can say, no, I'd like to pay the rent. I have fun in this life and I want to take the advantage of it as much as I can. Mm-hmm. Right. But either way, it does not determine how I feel about my worthiness, my sense of who I am. In fact, what a beautiful thing to be. Oh my God, what a freedom. I can finally, even if I physically struggle, I still know my essential nature of being. It's going to be a struggle, but I don't have to suffer it. Mm-hmm. I think it was St. Augustine who was asked, how should we live our life? And he said, love, and then do whatever you want. Mm. Do what you do and keep loving. Mm. So, Jenny, in your scenario that comes up for you, how does that impact you? Is there some dynamic of you that says, don't attend to my being because it might get in the way of my achievements?
Yeah, I think that was struggle. I think that was fear. But if I go more on the spiritual path, it'll take me to a place where I'm not responsible anymore.
Ah, okay. Right. So you will always have that choice.
Yeah.
Can you be attending to creating a rich, full, abundant life and remain free in your spiritual grace? Why not?
Yeah. We seem to be in conflict in my mind.
Yeah. And so go to the conflict in your mind. What does the conflict say?
I think the more I go down the spiritual route, the more it seems wrong what I'm doing at the moment. And it's highlighting more that I actually don't want to do what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
So if I go on to allowing a being and realizing more what I'm doing, actually not aligned.
Yeah, the abidance of our wholeness, of our beingness, it does bring into question our motivations. And oftentimes, actually, it will point to, oh, this life you're leading and that is currently feeding you. And why are you really doing all that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's a playful way. So if we're on track here, what I'm hearing is you're kind of maybe going, if I get real with my just beingness, I might look and realize that a lot of my life is predicated on simply providing safety for myself. And it's not really what I love.
Mm-hmm. I'm not love anymore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A friend of mine, he's passed now, but he was a motivational speaker, and he was hired just to work with the postal service and to talk to postal employees about living life more fully, more alive. And these postal employees were like, dude, we're postal employees. Like, this isn't what we love, right? We're not doing it because we love it. We're doing it because it pays the bills. And it was really sweet to look at that and say, okay, what if you can say, okay, while I'm doing this, I can bring love to it. I can infuse the work that I do with, water risk management as you do, with care, with love, with the recognition that it makes a difference, that people's lives can be made easier, that they can be more creative, that they can find solutions. What if you brought love to the gifts that you have, to the work that you do? And maybe you decide to eventually do something different. But does that shift it at all?
Yeah, I'm bringing love to it.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing the importance of it. It's more a feeling, it's not really what I really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of, treating it with love and with care and my students. More like how much more can I, it costs me a lot of energy to bring up the love, to do it in love.
Okay. Yeah. So if you were to, if it was more naturally a flow, an act of love, not bringing love to it, but it was naturally an act of love, what would that provide you emotionally?
If it was naturally with love, as it used to be. I think joy, fulfillment.
Perfect. So there is a condition, a situation that if it changed, I would find joy and fulfillment. And that's back to it's out there. Okay? So actually going the spiritual path might make it easier to do what you do, because you're no longer using what you do to find joy and fulfillment. Your joy and fulfillment is already inherent no matter what you're doing. You see the conundrum? You're still kind of, and this is what we do, we're still placing the condition on the situation has to change because I'm losing my sense of joy and fulfillment because it's not the same as it used to be. And where yet your essential nature of being is always as it used to be. It's always as it always will be. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be tapped into my natural and essential joy and fulfillment. So by going to by attending to your spirituality, if you will, more, it is simply showing you where you are chasing joy and fulfillment. And the fact and that the current mechanism of chasing joy and fulfillment isn't working. And that's just going to put you in a conundrum of saying, okay, so I got to change the movie. I got to change the situation. That's because then I'll be able to find my joy and fulfillment again because I'm back to chasing it in the world of situation and condition. What if you could find the joy and fulfillment and then still change your life, change your work, or do whatever you want to do. But until it does shift, you're not at a deficit of that joy and fulfillment. And as the world gets more chaotic and stressful, more and more people are going to strive harder and harder to find what it feels like it's being taken away from them. Opportunity, money, finance, freedoms, etc., safety. This more and more people are going to be like, God, it's all falling apart. Now I'm even more screwed. And more they're going to start to come around and go, wow, I can't depend on all of that. There has to be a way to navigate this life that is sometimes up here and sometimes down here. There has to be a way to navigate all this with some autonomy, with some freedom, with some sovereignty. Yes. Recognize that you're seeing that the things you've hung your happiness on, that when they fall apart, you're screwed. Well, then maybe you need to start turning your attention somewhere else. Does it feel, Jenny, like it might relieve things or make things actually a little bit easier to turn the attention inward, to actually double down, if you will, on the spiritual knowing of your being? That you already find your fulfillment within, and therefore you can keep doing what you're doing. You can change it. It gives you the freedom to find your way without needing it to change or be different or achieve a certain result before you can be happy again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when we all know when we make decisions based out of lack or fear, then they're often decisions that are satisfying the ego. Ali says here, need balance of seeking and non-seeking? Question mark. Still want convenience of living, yet not overburdened by it. Need balance of seeking and non-seeking. We want to attend to the seeker. We know when the seeking is coming from a sense of unfulfillment. And I'll be happy when. I'll be at peace when. That is seeking on behalf of the illusion of separation. Maybe instead of the seeking, it's inviting. Rather than I'm seeking abundance because I need the abundance to be happy, I am happy and I'm inviting the abundance to play. I'm inviting a nice home, good food, friends, community to join me in love. Seeking is a moving away from and toward other. And the opportunity here is to rest as love and invite the world to meet that love. And we do have the power of imagination and manifestation. I'm already in power. I'm already in love. And now I'm inviting the world to play with me in this love. That's different than seeking away from self, toward other. He says, how about the teaching of surrender? Abide in being and simply surrender. Things will work out for the best. And then he says, I like the invitation method. We'll try that in practice rather than seeking. Thank you. Yeah. What are we surrendering to? And who is surrendering? the ego body surrendering to the wholeness of being. And it's a bit of a trap to say, and then I know it will all work out. Because we tend to say it'll all work out well. It'll all work out to my egoic benefit. What if it doesn't? So rather than I can surrender because I trust that everything is going to be okay, what if it's I surrender to my inherent okayness? So that no matter how life turns out, I'm okay. It's the ego surrendering to the truth. We play a lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah, because the first scenario still stays transactional.
It still stays transactional, exactly. Oh, I can let go because I trust that everything is going to be okay.
Exactly the way I want it.
The way, right, my version of okay. Exactly. I can trust because I trust. I can surrender because I trust that everything is going to work out the way I want it to work out. Nope, it probably won't. It might be better. It might not be as good.
Let's say you say what you want, but you get what you need.
Yeah. When I used to lead treks in Nepal, in Kathmandu, there was an area named Tamil, and it was still getting used to foreigners. And you'd go down to these little cafes, and the waiters were guys who were they'd just come down from the hills to get a job, opportunities in the city. So they come down, they get a job as a waiter. They have no idea what they're doing. And you'd order from the menu and you say, okay, I'd like the chicken schnitzel, please. And they'd say, okay, yes. And then they'd bring you, spaghetti bolognese and go, no, I ordered, and you'd send it back. And chicken schnitzel. And they'd come back and they go, yes, here's fried chicken. And you're like, no, the chicken schnitzel. And they'd take it back. And meanwhile, your friends would be eating, finishing lunch, paying the bill, and you still are sending food back. And we came up with a wonderful phrase. It was, order what you want, enjoy whatever you receive. Yeah. To not make it all responsible for our happiness, especially in relationship. I am in love with you. You are the object of my love. And when you behave in these desirable ways, then I feel the love. But what if they start behaving in other ways, or whether they go away? Do you have no love now? What if it's I am in love, I live in love, and you find somebody that also knows that they are in love and they are living in love, and you say, do you want to play in love together? And then if you go away, I'm still in love. And if you behave in ways that are difficult because you're struggling and you're going through your conditioning and you're learning and you're working on your wounding and you're behaving in certain ways, but I'm still in love. And so I'm in love meeting you in your struggle. I get to choose whether I want to be in that or not. But it doesn't take me out of love. That's freedom. So seeking, I'm in love. And I'm always in love. And I'm inviting life to play with me, and I'm going to stay in love. And life is going to present challenge and opportunity and success and failure. And no matter what it provides me with, I'm going to stay in love.
Mm-hmm. And then every experience then serves a deeper awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we can really participate and let our soul evolve, let our journey unfold. As Ram Dass teaches, this is the curriculum. Here you are, why don't what did his guide told him? Ram Dass, you're here in this life, in this form. Why don't you take up the curriculum? Why don't you let it inform you and teach you and guide you and help you grow? Why do you keep fighting so much of it and pushing it away and making it wrong and telling life, no, not that? Yeah. So a wonderful practice is to sit in our power, in our grace, and invite in every single scenario in your life and imagine meeting it as love. It doesn't mean you just say, well, okay, I guess I don't have any money. I guess I don't have a house. You say, okay, currently I don't have any money and I don't have a house. And I'm going to strive to, I'm going to invite life to be different. But not so that I can come back to peace. I'm going to use the power of peace that I already am to invite life in its full abundance. I'm going to stay in my abundance and invite life to mirror that with its abundance. I'm going to stay in love and invite life to meet me with its love, whatever that looks like. Life might meet somebody by saying, look, you don't get to be in deep relationship. And if you just accept that, you still work on it. Maybe you still strive or look for a relationship. But if it doesn't come, that serves. That serves the opportunity to say, can I find myself? Can I be in love with myself without needing a relationship to prove to me that I'm worthy of love? What an amazing opportunity. Maybe a soul came into this whole world to say, I'm here to learn how to love myself without needing to be validated by others. So everything is an opportunity. That's another Ram Dass teaching. There ain't nothing on your plate that isn't the stuff of your enlightenment. Not a thing, not a moment, not a morsel. All right, friends. Recognizing that when we stop all the narratives, all the seeking, all the moving away from ourselves, all the moving off in the direction of seeking or resistance or clinging, that our rested nature is already whole, already love, inviting the world to meet this abundance of love with an abundance of opportunity. And no matter what that opportunity looks like, it does not change who I am. I am unconditional, loving awareness, allowing, 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 unwavering, unchanged, and whole.